Hello lovelies, and welcome to my next video for the month. So something I haven't done in a long time, but I thought I would show you how I use up leftover printables, and I thought I would do that by making some DIY embellishments. Now, I usually do, even though I focus on solely using the printables, there is always so many included that I've always got a fair few left over. And something that I always have a big amount of is obviously the florals, because I don't tend to use them a lot, and the labels. There's a whole sheet of labels, so no matter how many I use, I always have a pretty decent supply of them left over. And this is a great project to do to use up those leftover printables. I actually have a container on my desk that at the end of the month I put all the leftover printables into, and they just sit in there. So every now and then I'll pull out a bunch, I'll get a bunch of labels, a bit random shapes, and I'll start from there and put them together into little clusters. And it's a great way, one, to have pre-made embellishments ready to go to make your scrapping easier, and two, a really good way to use up all these printables that you get in the kit every month. So I'm focusing on the florals especially because I spent all that time cutting them out. This was after I had made my layout with them, and I thought it would be a good idea to try and use them up on some embellishments. So I'll actually use them, because apart from making clusters with them, I think I tend to struggle with just using florals randomly. So a good way to do that is to put them in my DIY embellishment pile and go from there. So the way I start is I've got all my bits and pieces cut out, and I put them into piles. I've got my my labels and tabs, I've got my words, and then I've got my florals. And then off to the side you'll see I've got the tiny words and the bigger words, I guess you could say, the phrases that are together. I don't cut them up because I'm likely to lose them. So what I do is I cut the bottom off of the printable, keep them all together, and then when I find a word I like, I just sort of chop into it and keep them together. I find it easier to use them and not lose them by keeping them together. And these two things, the words and the tiny words and the phrases, are great for DIY embellishments. So then basically I start with a label, and then I go from there. So I'll get a label, and then I'll find something to embellish that label with, whether it be a flower or a tab or something, and then I'll usually add a word. So that's sort of my formula, I guess, hence the piles. And so I just pull from my piles and I just put them together. And it's as simple as that. Some I love more than others, like that one in the middle that says I love you with the big floral piece. I adore that, and that's going to go really nicely, I think, in my project life or even on a scrapbook page. Some I don't love as much as the others. You can see where I struggle to use multiple flowers on some. But all in all, it's a really good activity to do to use up those bits and pieces that you have left over at the end of the month. You can even do this with any embellishments that you have, from ephemera kits to thickers even, although I haven't done that, so that might be something to look into. But yeah, anything you have left over. Usually I throw enamel dots and things on these too, but I didn't have them on me. I've moved inside in front of the air conditioning the past few weeks because it's been too hot. And yeah, so that's also another good thing about using the printables. Everything coordinates. The colors coordinate, the words and the images coordinate. So literally all I had to do was grab my adhesive, grab my scissors, and that was it. So the fact that everything coordinates in the kits makes it a lot easier to do this when you're traveling or even in a different room. I don't know about you, but I like scrapping in my scrap room because everything is there. I struggle to scrap outside of that room, to do any form of couch scrapping or anything like that, because I like to take all my things with me. I really do. I hate not having the choice. But working from the kits and the printables, it's all there for you. You don't need anything else except adhesive. And that is why I found this an easy activity to do inside. Normally what I do is I'll spend a day or so cutting up all my printables, watching TV and just cutting them out, fussy cutting them out. and then I put them in a little document folder, Ziploc bag type thingy. And so they're all there ready for me to go, and I love that everything coordinates. So when I sit down to do this activity, literally all I grabbed was a pen, my adhesive, and of course my tiny attacher, because I do love my tiny attacher. But that was it. Everything was there ready to go. The inclusion of the tiny words makes this so much fun, because it sort of gives a lot of these embellishments that little finishing touch. So it really is a good activity to do if you want to use up what's left of your printables. It's too hot to go in your art room or your scrap room, or you just want an activity, sit in front of the couch on your little TV tray and just make something. Picking up your little container of all your printables, get some adhesive, and off you go. It is really that simple. That's literally what I did here. And yeah, so it's a lot of fun, and you end up with all these pre-made embellishments. I have a container that sits on my desk, and so when you want to do some form of creating, but you don't really want to spend a lot of time trying to coordinate embellishments and things, you've got a whole bunch of pre-made embellishments ready to go. It's fantastic for project life, it really is. It makes it really fast and really easy to embellish project life, and it's also really, really useful for scrapbooking too. So I tend to do this for about half an hour or so. I'm always left with bits and pieces again. It's one of those things where you could cut labels and tabs forever and keep going. So usually I get to a point where I'll stop, put what's left of the printables in my little container, and then another day when I feel like creating but don't really have anything specific in mind, I'll get what's left of my bits and pieces out again, and I'll start making some more. And yeah, you end up with a good little stash if you do this every now and then. I know I definitely have one. But what I like about these is there's lots of flowers in these ones, and I don't tend to use flowers much, so I think this is going to be a great way for me to use up a lot of the florals that are left over every month in the printables. So that's going to definitely add something new to my DIY embellishments, which I kind of like. So here is a picture of the ones that I made. So yeah, hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you got some inspiration from it to go and make your own DIY embellishments. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.